Hi guys, Candace here with Solstice Counseling. I'm going to talk to you today about grief and grieving. And if you're like most people, when you hear me say that, you want to cut this video off, you want to run into the other room, you want to check your Facebook newsfeed, you want to do anything else but listen to what I have to say. And please stick around and listen because this is really important. I'm going to talk about grief in the context of this election. I'm not going to get into my opinion about the election results or a commentary about either candidate, but I am going to comment on what I see happening in this election that is really representative of the way that we deal with grief and loss in this culture. So grief, at its basic, broken down, is just a response to a perceived or actual loss. It doesn't even have to be a loss that is tangible or concrete. It could be the loss of something, a dream or a vision or a result. That experience produces feelings of grief. Okay, so that is what grief is. Now, there are many people out there who are not happy with the way that this election turned out, and they are grieving right now. They're grieving a lot of things. They're grieving the loss of the expected result. They're grieving the loss of being a part of a vision that was really deeply aligned with who they are and what they believe in. They're grieving a loss of safety, of security, of trust. They're grieving a loss of how the process works. There's a lot of things people are grieving right now. The other thing that I see is that the media, social media, television media are saying things to people like, one of my least favorite phrases ever, which is, it is what it is. And, we just have to accept this and move on. It's time for the country to come together. It's time for all of us to be united. And yes, there is truth to all of those. There is wisdom in that. However, we have known about this result for less than 48 hours, and I'm going to suggest that it's perhaps not time for us to spring into action. Perhaps it's not time for us to be moving on yet or to be ready to accept this outcome yet because we have not grieved. We have not allowed ourselves to feel the disappointment, the anger, the fear. We have not allowed ourselves the time and the space to figure out how this is going to impact us. What meaning is this going to make in our lives, which is a huge part of the grief process. When we skip over those, we become reactionary. We don't act in an intentional way. We are slaves to our emotions because we have not felt them, we have not expressed them, and so we are at their mercy. That can either look like angry outburst. It can look like the sadness of anger turned inward that comes out as depression. So it is vitally important that, if you are one of the people struggling with these election results, that you give yourself the time and the space to grieve what this loss means to you, because it will be different for everybody. It's okay for you not to be ready to move on at this time 48 hours later. It's okay for you to need some room to take this in, to process it, to digest it. You don't have to be ready to accept this decision right this minute. And so it is with everyday losses that we face. In this society, we are so uncomfortable with this concept of grief for two reasons. One is because we don't know what to do with people who are grieving. We just want them to feel better and move on because we're uncomfortable when people are expressing deep sadness or profound pain. It makes us uncomfortable. Second, we don't know what to do with our own feelings because we're taught in this culture that you have to be happy all the time and you have to think positively all the time. And don't get me wrong, those are wonderful states of being, But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's how you're going to be all the time. So this is just my effort to give you guys permission to accept where you are. If the results of this election were a loss to you, if they're not, that's okay. But it's also my effort to give you permission to grieve other losses in your life. You know, we all lose things every day, some on a small scale, some on a larger scale. So stop, grieve, feel your feelings. Your feelings are going to inform your actions, and then decide what you need to do. Feeling your feelings gives you clarity. Okay, so I hope this serves. Please share if it does, and I will talk to you guys again soon.